Welcome everybody to another Once Human video. So today I wanted to talk about purification again. So in my previous video, the top 5 tips for purification, which you can find in the description below, we had a lot of great comments and discussions about base defense, and there were a lot of requests to see this Tower of Pain in action. So as promised, I wanted to put together another quick video going over some additional tips and some things that we talked about. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to show you me doing all 40 tier 3s in one go. So you can see that there's nothing to be scared about as long as you follow the tips in this video and my previous video. So let's get started. So the first thing that I want to discuss is that every single base is going to be different. So what works for me might not work for you. But if you take the tips that I give you and you apply them to your base, you're going to do great. You're going to have no problem knocking out all 40 in one go and being done with your weekly in 5 minutes. So I'll tell you how. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to understand the specifics about your base, and we can do that by taking a Stardust Resonator. We're going to just pop it down here out in the open, and then what we want to do here is we need to find out where our spawn points are, because again, these are going to be different. Some people said they put their Stardust Resonator in the water and nothing was able to spawn. Others are on the edge of the map and they said if they put them here, they're not going to get any spawns, or they're going to get limited spawns. Mine, I have an amazing base. I'm right on the river, and half of my spawns end up on the other side of the river. So I really don't have a lot of spaces that I need to look at. So that's the first thing, is we want to see where your spawn points are at, so we could do that. So I'm going to just deposit this. You really only need one. I have hitting the wrong button. I have level 2s, but you can throw a level 1 in here real quick. You can see I already did my weekly, which we'll see at the end of this video. But here, so I'm going to put this in, and what we're going to look for now is where they spawn. There are some things that we want to watch out for. You can see up on the purification progress in the top left when the bosses are going to spawn, so they're very important. So right here I have a spawn, boom, and they're not going to do much because again this is a low level. I also have a spawn that comes over here, so that's 1, that's 2, and then my third spawn, and I already know this, you're going to actually have to run around yours to find it, is going to be on the other side of the water. Because if you look at my base design, it's right here. So they're always going to spawn outside of your base, and then they're going to come in. So mine spawn out there. So this whole zone for me, for my building, is a dead space. For your building, it may not be a dead space. And if it's not, you're going to need to make sure that you prepare, appropriately. Also, your stuff may spawn over there, or it may spawn out front. So that's the first thing that you need to find out. You need to put in one of these things. You need to find out where it spawns. And then the second thing you need to do is you need to find out where the boss spawns. So here you can see that I should have a boss out. And it's very important that you find that boss, because you don't want him going to your Stardust Resonator. So I don't see a boss out front. So that means for me, the boss probably spawned out back. So here I'm just going to go and check, and yep, I can see I have a boss here. Since this is a flying boss, it will eventually fly across to my resonator. So you just need to make sure that you have those covered. So even if you do have a section that doesn't have anything, you're going to need to have that spot covered. So that is basically our first step. Find out where the spawn points are so that you know exactly where you need to set up your defenses. Now, the second thing that we'll talk about is never, ever, ever build this inside the base. As you saw, everything was trying to get to the purifier. This is going to be the main thing that they go after. Now, I have my purifier way over here, And the reason I do that is because my spawn points are on the opposite side, so it gives me time to get to them. I don't have to worry about the mobs in the back because of the water. However, if I did not have water and they came from the back, I would have to move this because I also don't want my base to be in between the spawn and where the purifier is. So that's another thing that you need to make sure that you understand when you're placing down your purifier or your tower of pain. And I'm not going to show how to build this because I've already done this in a previous video. So if you want to check out the video on how to build the Tower of Pain, I'll link it in the description below. So the next thing, once we have our location and it's not inside the base and we know where our spawns are and we don't have it in a way where mobs can get to it, you know, directly through your base, then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to want to seal up the base where the spawn points kind of are. So for me, this right here is all of my electricity. It is probably the most important part of my base because if that gets destroyed, and it has in the past, because I did not follow these rules in the past, if it gets destroyed, I'm out of a lot of materials. So one thing that I do is these sandbags are very cheap, and I put a bunch of them down. So you can see I have 2 layers of sandbags here because occasionally if I have something over here, like say one of my deviants is working in this area, they're you know, doing stuff up. The mobs, even though they are programmed to kind of head towards this purification pump, sometimes they'll start hitting the deviants, or they'll come over here, or they're just gonna, you know, say, hey, you know, let's go destroy this base. And you'll actually see in the video where I do the 40, I do have a set that actually comes over here, but having these here to protect the base will give me ample amount of time to come over and take care of them before anything bad happens. So right here is important to me, so I put you know, a couple layers, and then also over here I put some layers here so they can't go up the stairs because I've had that happen before. And then finally I have a bunch of layers around here. This gives the turrets, you know, assuming they're working, sometimes they bug out. I know a lot of my viewers have also said that theirs bug out as well. But as long as the turrets are working, they'll give you time to kill. They do end up killing most of the stuff that comes over here. In the video, you'll see that I also give them a little bit of help. So you want to make sure you set those up. And another great thing is even during the purification process, you are allowed to build. So if they knock out like 2 of these because it took me a second, I was dealing with the back or whatever, I can just go ahead and I can put them back up. So a quick way, you hit B, middle mouse button copies it, and then boom, you just put them right back up. So that is the next tip that I'll give you. The following tip is being able to get to those spawn points super quick. So what I did here is I have one of these portals, and I set the portal up over here because I'm not going to jump on it by accident. And I originally had it set up in the front, like over there, but then I realized that every time I jumped up to kind of do something, I ended up teleporting myself across the base, so I moved it out of the way. And this is perfect because this puts me right out back where I can see those spawns. Because if we have like 2 bosses, I may get a boss right here, and I will likely get a boss out back. The bosses out back, they'll be able to come across. The big ones will actually come all the way across here. They won't go through my base actually, because my Stardust Resonator's all the way in the corner. They're going to come all the way around, and they actually go around the side of my base. So if I can't get to them in time, that's where it's at. So what I do is I keep an eye up in that corner for the purification, and I take a look and see when the bosses are going to come, because they're really the only thing that scares me. So I check the boss. If it's here, I kill it. If it's not here, I run back over and I will jump on this portal. It takes me right to the back, and this is where I can check. Boom, and then I kill the boss here. Another great thing to do is put all of your turrets on a switch. So here you can see I have a switch. This switch is for my turrets. I run my electricity. So all my electricity goes over to here, and then I actually run my electricity under the ground just because it looks cooler. Well, so under here you'll see I have the electricity that comes down, and then one goes up to a switch over there, the other one goes up to a switch over here, and then from here you'll see I have two lines. I have a line on the bottom, so this line goes around my base, all the way around my base, and some people ask, you know, why do I have so many of these? And it's mostly because I'm a weirdo. I like to have points that I can connect to anytime I do something where the item's going to be right next to it. And I know you can just press L and hide all the cables, but that doesn't hide it for everybody else, and I want my place to look neat, so I will just set up tons of them. You don't have to do it. You can just go boom all the way over to one. You can also daisy chain these, so like you'll see this one goes to this one, goes to this one. So that's another thing. So by setting the electric up on its own switch, it allows me to divert all of the energy to all my guns. And I run level 3 guns here. So these are just level 3 rifle guns. In the back, I have a shotgun, which is pretty cool. It actually does have a pretty big range. I did not expect that. So that's also another good option that you can do. So this allows me to put out basically like almost an unlimited amount. I can cap, I think I have access to 12. Actually, it doesn't even say that there. I know like in PvP you can only set up so many. But here, yeah, I just set up a bunch of them. I set up a ton of guns. I know that my spawn points are over here. So in this spawn point area, I have this set up in case something does elude me and it gets over here and I'm not paying attention. But most of the time they're just going to come straight over to the tower. And in the tower I have these set up, and you can see I have different levels. So when you get into some of the flying bosses, these are going to hit the ground level and then flying. These are going to hit the flying, and then if you have like the super big bosses, this top one is going to help take that out. So that is my next tip. So to reiterate everything, the first thing is every base is different. So make sure that you are taking the rules that I have mentioned in this and you're customizing them to your base. The second thing is make sure you understand where your spawn points are, and you can do that by placing your resonator somewhere away from your base, popping one in, and then just kind of running around, you know, and looking and then taking note. The next thing is never build the resonator inside the base, and try not to build the resonator where a spawn point is going to be in between. And again, I got lucky here because on this back corner they can't get across the water, and any of the big ones will actually just come all the way over here. They'll bypass my base and they'll try to get here, although I don't think I've ever had one come close. Usually I notice them and I kill them. The bosses really aren't that tough, even with 40 of them. And then finally, you want to make sure that you set up your portals so that you can quickly jump between the spawn points. So if you're doing this solo, and I usually do this with a friend just because, you know, we like to share. That way I only have to come up with 20, he comes up with 20, and then we're good. And then finally, you want to make sure that you fortify the base. And you can fortify the base with these sandbags. So anywhere where there's going to be spawn points, just make sure that you put them out. That'll give you some extra time. And then also just toss some extra turrets out. These turrets actually don't even get that much work, but hey, I just have them out because I know there's a spawn point, and I am deathly afraid of losing all of these mats. So with that, I hope you learned something. If I missed anything, make sure you leave it in the comments below. And here we go. This is me doing 40 tier 3s in one go. Enjoy.